Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 6th of January 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, patch 4.0.6 has been deployed on the PTRs for your testing. There is an absolute ton of changes, and most of them are aimed at class balance. You might remember that earlier, in fact it was just at the end of last year, I reported that there were going to be a sweeping set of class changes. That was discussed by Ghostcrawler, and apparently these are them. You might want to go and read them yourself. There are far too many for me to cover. Although what I will say is that it has carried on the age-old tradition of not changing mages at all. Which is always the case. You know, they really just should change the icon of mage armor in every single patch just to keep that little ball rolling. There have also been some changes to achievements. A lot of the questing achievements, in order to actually get the achievement, have been significantly reduced in the number of quests you need. For instance, the Vashir achievement requires 140 as opposed to 160. The Deep Hole one requires 110, down from 125, etc., etc. That should make things a little bit easier for those of you looking to try and grab all of those achievements. But yeah, go and check that out. And of course, the PTR is accessible by following the instructions on the Blizzard page, the instructions for which are in the description below this video. The latest round of hotfixes is available for you to peruse as well, and you might want to look at that. My pick of the litter has got to be that smart food apparently wasn't so smart after all. We're talking about the food that gives you stats based on your class. Apparently that wasn't happening correctly, and that's now being dealt with, so you shouldn't be getting useless stats on your delicious food. Also, I'm picking this one just because it makes no sense. All 8 of the engineering discoveries are now able to be learned through crafting the Overpowered Chicken Splitter. Right, okay. I'm sure there's a great explanation for that. I don't care, because that sounds hilarious. Also, Guild Flask and Cauldron changes have been implemented. Some of you might have been looking at the Mixmaster and Better Leveling Through Chemistry guild achievements and thinking, WTF, that's ridiculous. You were looking at 25,000 flasks for better leveling through chemistry. This has all now been significantly reduced. Mixmaster now takes 1,000 as opposed to 10,000, and better leveling through chemistry takes 3,000, down from 25,000. They've also buffed the big Cauldron of Battle so that it's actually useful now, and you might want to check out the full details as well as an explanation as to how all of this works in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. Because of course it would be terrible for the US forums to be left out of completely pointless polls. Lalera has posted one about, we know what you did last Wintervale. Well, apparently they don't, because they're asking you to tell them. Since fake democracy is awesome, I'd highly recommend that you go and check that out. If you're a US poster, you can go vote on this as to how you spent your time in-game over the holidays. I didn't, and I enjoyed it very much. Tyrael looks like he's got himself out of the frying pan and into the fire after posting about his ban from the forums. Rigarius quickly points out that discussing forum moderation or disciplinary action on the forums could result in a less than optimal outcome, and suggests that you go and read the rules. More to the point, why does he think that anybody cares whether or not he got unbanned? Takralis over on the EU forums points out that there could be some current issues with queuing for battlegrounds cross-language. He says that they're aware of that issue and they're looking for a solution to fix it, and they apologize for the inconvenience. The thread in the description below this video will be updated when they have some more information on this matter. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. This one is old school, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm highlighting it because it's a great example of an early moral choice in action. And more to the point, it's actually an example of, are you paying any attention whatsoever to the lore of the characters and the way that the NPCs have been acting before now? It's, of course, the one and only Zen Foulhoof in Teldrassil, very low-level Night Elf quest, and this has been in since the game launched. It takes a bloody age to do, thanks to the fact that the drop rates are so low, but whatever the case, what it does is, once you've done it, it unlocks a quest called Seeking Redemption, where you are told off for doing stuff that you really shouldn't do as a Night Elf. However, I'd like to point out that once again, outside of the Teldrassil area, nobody actually cares if you slaughter thousands of mammals for quest rewards and experience. Oh well, there you go. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature. It's Mod Your Wow. I've got 3 mods to have a look at for you today, and one of them is extremely popular, and yet a lot of people still don't use it, and it goes by the name of Recount. By extremely popular, I mean this thing's got 2 million downloads on Curse Client alone. So a lot of people have this one, but a lot of new players don't know what it is. So Recount is basically your quintessential damage meter. It's not just the damage meter, though. It tracks a whole bunch of things, including healing done, damage received. It's quite useful for a raid leader because you can track things like CCers and Dispellers. You You can tell who's slacking simply by looking at meters. It can also be broken down into the components of where your damage came from. You can have a look at where your crits came from, where percentages of your damage is coming from, so you can help decide, say, which proc enchant to use, or things like that. And you can also break it down in a fight-by-fight basis, which is quite useful for analysis. One thing I will say about Recount, though, and any damage meter is that don't obsess over the bloody thing. It is a useful tool, but it is not the be-all and end-all. Let me point out that it's no use you having mad DPS on the meter if you forgot to get out of the fire, because I can tell you this for a fact, if you're dead, your DPS is 0. Now, this one is called Sexy Map. Now, Sexy Map allows you to do a whole bunch of different things, some cosmetic, some useful. Amongst other things, you can move your minimap around, you can also have different borders and shapes and styles, which is kind of nice, helps you brighten up your UI somewhat. You can also have a fade in and fade out option. Some people don't really like the minimap being there all the time, so you can set it up so that you hover over and it'll brighten up, or you can do it the other way round, which doesn't make any sense at all, but hey, there you go. You can also change the scale of it and configure auto zoom and a whole bunch of different things. So this is the essential minimap mod if you want to muck about with it. Now, the final mod is something that I use. It's not all that well known. It's called Confer Suicide Kings. Now, this is a loot system. Loot systems are interesting because everyone has their favorite, and none of them are perfect. Absolutely none. But I used to use this one in Wrath when I was raiding with my 10-man guild, and we found it to be a very easy way of managing who got what. Now, you can import a list of people into this, and you can configure them for various roles. And then once you actually loot something, the Confer Suicide Kings mod will pick it up and will initiate an auto bidding, so you can then bid for it, and the winner will then be knocked all the way down to the bottom of the list. That's how Suicide Kings actually works. Like I say, you should really go and read up more on the loot system before you even consider using a mod like this, but if you do decide to go down the Suicide Kings route, you could certainly do an awful lot worse than using this mod to help manage your Suicide Kings list, and it can also be broadcast and synced up with all the other raid members so they can see exactly where they are on the list at any given time. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Spencer, who says, "Hi TB, I'm a bit lost on what I should do. I'm unhappy with the realm I'm on, and as of late, I've been growing more distant from my guild. In the weeks before Cataclysm, I asked my guild if I could make a rogue my main, as it was, and still is, the only max-level rogue in the guild. All of the officers agreed, and so I busted my ass getting to 85 and ready for heroics and eventually raiding. Now my rogue is just missing a couple of heroic pieces, but still ready to start raiding. However, my guild told me they were full-on melee and that they wanted my hunter. Same story with my hunter. I began the grind gearing up for that and still got tossed to the side. I'm not a raider, so when they do their daily random heroic, I'm not invited, and when I ask if anyone's interested, I just get the silent treatment. I could just leave the guild, but I have nowhere to go and don't have the funds to realm change. Should I stick it out and hope for the best, or would it be wise to start afresh in another realm?" Obviously, I've only got your word for it, which is why I'm not naming realms or guilds or anything like that. But if what you're saying is true, then your guild is full of knob-ends. I'm sorry, it's true. If you went to your guild and say, "Hey, can I get a rogue as my main? Can I level up for Cataclysm and then get into the raid group?" and they said yes, and then said no once you'd done that work, then I would have left the guild at that point, without question, because it shows to me that either the guild officers are incredibly forgetful and disorganized, or they're a bunch of lying bastards, in which case you don't want to be with them either way. Now, I know that, there's nowhere to go, etc. There are always other guilds on your realm, and hey, there's nothing stopping you from starting your own. So I would have a look at the realm forums and see if there's anyone recruiting, see if there's anyone that needs a rogue. You might be surprised. And if not, then yeah, if you don't have the funds for realm transfer and you're still having problems, then hey, give me a shout, and maybe I can sort you out with that. That would make things a little bit easier for you, but only if you try and find a guild elsewhere on the realm before bailing. Trust me on this. I've transferred off realms before, and I've immediately regretted doing so, and I had wished that I'd stuck around and maybe spent a little bit more time looking around and actually finding a guild that was suitable for me. Trust me, I've transferred off realms before, and all manner of bad things have happened. I transferred to a realm called Trollbane. That was a mistake. I should have known from the name. I was stuck in that realm for 3 months before I could transfer again, with no prospect and no hope of getting into any guild because the entire realm was dead. So do watch out, transfer with great care. This one comes in from Ed, who says, "Dear Mr. Biscuit, do you think the level 1 to 60 leveling experience is too fast? I recently created a Worgen warrior and I've had to skip entire areas because I out-leveled them." I'm not queuing the dungeon finder constantly. In fact, I've run each dungeon only once, but I'm still out-leveling the zone I'm in. I had to stop questing in Darkshore because the mobs were grey, and by the time I hit Ashenvale, I was already getting the hero's call for Stone Talon. I'm not wearing any of the bonus XP gear, but I am getting the 10% bonus from guild level. In the past, I would not have minded skipping through content I've seen before, but now that the content is new, I want to be able to experience it properly, and I don't want to go back once I'm 85 to see the content I should have seen when I was on level for it. Once I hit Outlander Northrend, I wouldn't mind a faster leveling experience, especially with the BC content. Yeah, no kidding. I think that experience is shared by an awful lot of people. There are obviously scaling issues going on. If you're not wearing a bunch of heirlooms, which you aren't by the sounds of it, you're just getting that 10% leveling bonus, and you're still out-leveling stuff so quickly, then there are clear scaling problems. Something that Blizzard does need to address. You know what I'd like to see, and this is going to be incredibly controversial because it's effectively throwing away 2 expansions worth of content, but why can't we just stretch that 1 to 60 experience out to level 78? There seems to be enough questing content to do it, slow it down a bit, make people go to the different zones, because yeah, you can skip entire zones, make them go through the whole lot. It would be a hell of a lot better than going to Outland and Northrend, that I can tell you, because the questing is much, much better, the storylines are tighter, there's cutscenes all over the place, much, much better questing design experience. I have to wonder why you just don't get that option. But yeah, they do need to look into that. I don't mind fast leveling, because I'm not a big fan of leveling to begin with, but I do mind it when it's like, oh, right, I'm really into the story. Yes, it happens. It happens now with Cataclysm. It never used to happen. It does now. I'm into the story. I want to see the grand conclusion of this zone. Oh, my mobs are grey, because I happen to be in a guild and I've out-leveled the whole frickin' lot. What a waste of time that is. Not to mention, of course, the gear scaling. Oh, look, this dagger is about 8 levels behind my actual level. How useful is that? Yeah, clearly some scaling problems that do need to be addressed. Hopefully Blizzard will have a look at that again. But I certainly wouldn't mind doing Azeroth leveling 1 to 78. That I can tell you. Okay, folks, I'm done for the day. Thanks for watching Azeroth Daily. Remember to rate it up if you like it, rate it down if you don't like it. Genuine and constructive criticism is always appreciated, so feel free to leave it. And I've now started putting the time-based menu system in again. I haven't put it over the video because it's awkward, and I was having problems actually arranging it because it would end up overwriting parts of the blue posts and things like that. Total pain in the ass. So what I've done is I've just done it nice and simple. I've put time codes down in the description below this video. So if you don't like certain elements of this show, you can skip past them very easily simply by clicking on the timecode link in the description. Okay, folks, I will see you next time.